Okay, welcome to 20 Minutes to Business Insights, a complimentary resource webinar series from AKA Coach and Company. I'm Annie Kirshenman, and I will be your host for our topic today, Movement Means Business. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video feed now so that you can focus on our slides. With me today is Ann Barton. She's going to be monitoring our Q&A. This is a short and to the point webinar, but we do hope to have time for a few questions, even though we have a lot packed in, as we usually do. So if you have a question or a comment, just go ahead and type it into that chat box, and we will take what we can towards the end of the session. For those of you who don't know me briefly, I'm Annie Kirshenman. I'm a board certified coach with the specialty designation Executive Corporate Business and Leadership. I'm also a business person, have been for more than 20 years now. However, the world of business is not where I started. I come from a background in the arts, and creativity as well as innovation are a major part of my work today as a coach and facilitator. I'm also a former executive. I stepped down from my CEO role in 2005, and I just love sharing what I've learned, what works, and what's interesting for me as well as others, ergo this webinar series. So if you're joining us live, thank you again so much for being here, and if you're watching a recording, thanks for taking some time to view it. Okay, to our topic for today. Let's start with what you already know. Exercise is important. Now, we all know that, right? So what we're going to focus on today is specifically, why is movement important in the workplace? What are some of the benefits for the employee and for the company? How can you start to think about incorporating the right kind of moving into your day? And we're also going to share with you a couple of examples of what some companies are doing, just to get your creative mojo going on that. So let's start by talking a little bit about productivity. The image that you see here is one that often comes to mind when we think about productivity. You see the worker sitting at the desk in front of the computer, nose to the grindstone, focused on tasks for extended stretches of time. This tends to be what employers like to see when they look out there in their workplaces, and it's also what lots of employees feel is expected of them. In this model, you usually have some scheduled breaks, like a lunch, and then maybe a break in the morning and in the afternoon. So today we're going to be putting forward the idea that perhaps this is not the best model for productivity. And we're going to take a look at some recommendations and some research related to that. This one is from the American Heart Association. You may have seen this, you probably have, and their recommendations for cardiovascular health. You can see them there, 30 minutes of moderate intensity activity 5 days a week, or 25 minutes of vigorous activity 3 days a week, plus moderate to high intensity muscle strengthening activity at least 2 days a week. And also very important, lowering your blood pressure and cholesterol, 40 minutes of moderate to vigorous intensity activity 3 or 4 times a week. So that gives us a general idea of widely accepted guidelines for what constitutes healthy activity in our lives. So some research here, and many of you know that I am also a board certified dance and movement therapist, so I love this research, and that's why I put it first. This is a new study published in the open access journal Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, and it demonstrates that older people who routinely partake in physical exercise can actually reverse the signs of aging in the brain. And I just love this. Dancing has the most profound effect. And as you will see, and going through our slides today, it is all about the brain. I'm going to add that neuroscience is teaching us that the brain is not just in our heads, but rather located throughout the body. And this is fascinating research and unfortunately beyond our scope for today. And please bear in mind that when I talk about the brain today, I'm not just talking about the gray matter in your head. And I'd also like to add a personal anecdote. I recently started teaching Zumba Gold, which is way fun. And there are several 80-something folks in my class. They come because it's fun and they feel like they get a good workout there, of course. However, when they talk about why it's important to them, they focus on how it makes them think and engage their brains. So a real life example related to this research. And of course, as we always do, we'll be sending you a link for this research post-webinar so you can take a deeper dive. So here's some more evidence that it's all about the brain. A great TED Talk by Wendy Suzuki explains how exercise can help prevent depression. And you can see there, as little as 1 hour a week can make a difference. So yeah, we'll be sending you the link for that so you can watch her talk. It's awesome. The next bullet point, some research from the American Academy of Neurology, which indicates that women who are physically fit are 90%, that is 90%, less likely to develop dementia. So if that doesn't get you to the gym or the studio, I don't know what will. Okay, some additional research here, also relatively new from a team of scientists at McMaster University, which suggests that brief exercise breaks during lectures can help university students focus their attention, retain information, and improve overall learning. So sweat so you don't forget. For this particular study, researchers examined 3 groups tasked with watching a 50-minute online lecture. So one group performed a series of brief calisthenic exercises at regular breaks during the lecture. Another took breaks, but they played video games. And a final group did not take any break at all. Now, not surprisingly, when tested, researchers found that the students who exercised paid more attention throughout the lecture, which translated into improved comprehension of the material, both immediately afterwards and 48 hours later. So obvious implications here for the workplace and productivity. Note that these breaks were brief and they did involve some calisthenics. So now all this is great, and I really hope that all of you have some kind of cardio and weight-bearing activities in your week. But what about the workplace, where you usually can't take time out in the middle of the day to go to a class? Well, here comes some research designed for the workplace. So in a study published in 2016, again, relatively recent, in the International Journal of Behavioral Nutrition and Physical Activity, researchers found that spreading activity throughout the day, and this was specifically 6 times, with 5 minutes each of moderate intensity walking, so not a big deal in terms of exercise. They found that kind of activity had these effects, and there you can see the bullet points. It had a beneficial impact on levels of energy and vigor, improved mood on the part of the workers, decreased feelings of fatigue, and they also found that these little bursts of activity actually affected appetite, tending to suppress hunger or buffer the desire to eat, which is obviously interesting to those of us who might be interested in shedding a few pounds. So we're going to send you a link, of course, for this research post-webinar as well, so you'll have more information on that. Okay, so did I mention it's all about the brain? And here we have a major resource called Brain Rules. And if you attended or viewed the 20 minutes presentation on 5 books everyone in business should be reading now, you'll know this is one of my recommendations. And I'm bringing it back here in this segment because I feel it is a relevant resource for every business person or employer who's interested in productivity. And if you are, I feel you should have this on your desk. It's a very accessible and entertaining distillation of brain research and what it means for us at work, school, and at home, as you can see in the subtitle there. And the author also offers ample concrete examples and suggestions. And here you can see in the bullet points his 12 brain rules or 12 principles. And that might help you to get an idea about why this might be an important resource for you. The message of the book is what's going on in your brain impacts your life. We're talking about productivity, attitude, stress levels, etc., and how you are approaching your life impacts your brain. He says there are certain rules by which the brain is designed to live and function at peak potential. Today, of course, we're going to be focusing on exercise, and I will point out that it is brain rule number 1. And why is it so important? So the author says, from this perspective, how business is designed is pretty much all wrong for the brain. And he gives lots of examples of that. The one I'm going to cite today, because it points back to the very first slide I showed you on productivity, sitting at that desk, nose to the grindstone, is all wrong. And it's all wrong because our brains love motion. Our brains love to be in motion. Therefore, if we're sitting at a desk and not moving for long stretches of time, we are not leveraging our full potential day in and day out. Some of the key points from his chapter on exercise is that our brains were built specifically for walking, which is interesting in terms of some of the research that I just shared with you. He points out that our ancestors historically walked about 12 miles a day, looking for food, looking for shelter, probably running away from predators, and so forth. So genetically, our brains are hardwired for movement. He says, you want to improve your thinking skills, your concentration, your memory, all that good stuff, you got to get your movement mojo going on. And there are a lot of benefits of that. One of the main ones is that movement will get blood to your brain, and that has a lot of beneficial effects. So, for example, it brings glucose for energy. So, again, thinking back to the research, that was one of the results. Everybody felt less fatigue, more energy. It also brings oxygen to soak up the toxic electrons that are left over from the energy conversion process. And it also stimulates the protein that keeps neurons connecting. And of course, having our neurons connected, firing, wiring, that is something that we want not only in business, we also want it in our lives. So great stuff in that book. I hope you will take advantage of that resource. So let's shift gears here just a little bit and talk about some of the benefits. And this is just to name a few. We're going to start by looking at the benefits for business. And I have some ideas here. You may have more. If you do, just go ahead and type those ideas into the chat box so we can share them with everyone. So increased productivity. So what the idea we put forward here is that sitting at a desk for long stretches does not equal productivity. And when you have some movement in your business, you're going to have sharper minds. If you have sharper minds, you're going to have fewer costly mistakes. Decrease in sick leave and long-term absences. These are very costly for businesses. And you're going to have happier, more satisfied employees. The benefits for business, not surprisingly, all impact the bottom line and positively impact the bottom line, which is always good news for business. Taking a quick look on the employee side, again, this is just to name a few. you have your own ideas, please go ahead and type them into that chat box. Increased energy, less fatigue. Every piece of research pointed to that. Decrease in sick days benefits employees as well, because really no one likes to be ill. Mood elevation and more fun at work. You know, if you're having more fun, you're having a good time, you feel good at work, you're going to want to get there in the morning and you're going to do a better job. So again, just a few ideas about the benefits for employees. So let's talk for just a moment here about getting more movement into your business. Let's assume that you think this is a good idea. How and when are you going to do that? So the main recommendation here is about these short bursts of activity throughout the day. So that's that short 6 times a day, 5 minutes walking will do the trick. And also, we are, for the most part, looking for ways to fold the activity into something that you are already doing, so that you decrease the impact of time on getting the movement into your day. So 1 time every hour, 5 minutes of brisk walking, that's not a huge time impact. And if you're looking for a way to be reminded about that, you should see your fitness tracker. Most of them are designed to give you an alert to move once an hour. Then if you might be wondering at what time of day to schedule your longer cardio or strength building workouts, we have a recommendation from Dan Pink, and this is related to his new book, When, which is awesome, by the way, and I highly recommend it. He puts forward some ideas on this in one of his short Pink casts, and we're going to be sending you the link for that too. What he says is that if you're interested in losing weight, you might want to think about scheduling that earlier in the day, that workout. If your main objective is to have some fun, then you might want to think about scheduling that later in the day. Okay, some ideas about what other companies are doing. First bullet point there, actually this is something that a health insurance company implemented, which is pretty interesting. They assigned groups of workers to take a 5-minute walk break together every hour and at different times. So not all the groups were walking at the same time, which means the shop gets minded, and that's very important, of course. Another company created a stretch alert genie that pops up on every computer once per hour. Again, that's staggered, so not everybody gets the genie at the same time. And that's to remind individual employees to stand up, get away from the desk, and take a stretch break. The next bullet point, this is actually a suggestion from John Medina, or Medina, not quite sure how he pronounces his name, the author of Brain Rules. If you have the resources, a treadmill in your office, or perhaps in the break room where everyone can have access to it. Of course, that particular one has a cost impact, which has to be taken into account. And then I love this one. This is the peer-to-peer networking walk. It's a networking group that decided they were going to literally do their networking while walking on the pier. So they're on the boardwalk, walking together, and sharing information and getting to know each other. It's a brilliant idea. And again, we'll send you the link for that so you can see what they're up to. Okay, so in a moment we will be going to questions or ideas, comments you have in the chat box. First of all, what's next? As usual, you will receive a follow-up email with the resources I mentioned, a link for the recording of this webinar if you'd like to view it again or share it with a colleague, and also information on how to register for the next free 20 Minutes to Business Insights, which will be held on September 19th. And the topic at the moment is a mystery. So stay tuned. We'll be announcing the topic soon. And meanwhile, if you have a suggestion, please shoot it over to us. Anything you'd like to see us engage on 20 Minutes to Business Insights, let us know. Okay, and I see we have maybe about a minute. Do we have any questions or comments in our chat box?
I'm not seeing any at the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, if you have something you'd like to ask or something you'd like to share, just go ahead and type it into that chat box. We'll save the thread and see if we can share that with you after the webinar in our follow-up. We do like to keep faith with our 20-minute format, and I have us at time. So thank you for being here. This has been 20 Minutes to Business Insights, a complimentary resource webinar series from AKA Coach and Company. I'm Annie Kirshenman, and this is my contact information if you'd like to be in touch, and I hope you will. And I also hope to see you at the next webinar on September 19th, and stay tuned for the announcement about our topic. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your day.